the internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Many strides, one dream. Many heartbeats, one pulse. Sagicor, celebrating Jamaican success. The time by Sagicor is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7, headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, JPS restores electricity to St. Elizabeth ahead of August 31 deadline. Expert advises against PM assuming finance portfolio, and opposition calls a range of incentives for teachers. Also this evening, multi-vehicle collision in Clarendon. In the business report, addressing the customs of corruption. And in sports, 10 Jamaicans to compete in Rome Diamond League. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm Stephen McHugh.
And I'm Curlin Brown. It's Thursday, August 29, 2024. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, as the August 31 deadline approaches, the president of the Jamaica Public Service Company has announced the completion of restoration efforts in St. Elizabeth.
And of course, this following the devastation caused by the passage of Hurricane Beryl 8 weeks ago. Britannia Witter has more in this report.
After a long and dark waiting period, the people of the Breadbasket Parish of St. Elizabeth are finally able to see the light. The Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, has announced the full restoration of electricity to St. Elizabeth, marking a significant achievement in the recovery process following the widespread damage inflicted by Hurricane Beryl on July 3. The news comes days before the August 31st deadline.
JPS has completed power restoration to the parish of St. Elizabeth 3 days ahead of schedule. And right in time for back to school, one of the biggest events in the lives of our young people and their families.
JPS President Hugh Grant says the accomplishment marks the end of the island's restoration.
With the completion of restoration here in St. Elizabeth, this brings the island restoration after the Hurricane Beryl to completion. That is good news. So our near 7,000 customers have now been fully restored post-Hurricane Beryl.
Meanwhile, Energy Minister Darrell Vaz expressed his satisfaction at the announcement.
I'm elated to hear the announcement from JPS through its president that full restoration of St. Elizabeth has happened today, 2 or 3 days ahead of the August 31st deadline. It has been, in fact, a very painful 8 weeks for me as minister and all the hundreds of thousands of suffering customers during the passage of Beryl.
However, while noting the accomplishment, he says he's still eagerly awaiting other areas and institutions to be fully restored.
I'm looking forward for the outstanding isolated areas, customers and communities that are still having issues to be fully resolved over the next couple of days so that we can in fact have full restoration. Also of importance to me is the remaining schools that were damaged that need to be reconnected for back to school, the NWC pumps that are still out, and of course the NIC wells that serve the farmers. But a great achievement, and I give credit to the president and his proactive approach since he took office on August 1st, that he has been able to lead from the front and get this painful matter behind us.
Britannia Witter, CVM News.
A man was shot and killed in Christiana, Manchester on Wednesday afternoon. He has been identified as 28-year-old Cleon Russell of Low River in Trelawney. Reports are at about 4:30, Russell was exiting a shop when another man posing as a customer engaged him in a brief conversation before pulling a gun from a bag and shooting Russell multiple times. Now, the attacker attempted to search Russell's body before fleeing the scene on foot. The Christiana Criminal Investigation Branch is investigating that incident.
Firefighters were a few days ago tasked with navigating the scene of a 3-vehicle collision in Clarendon. Despite the mangled metal, no life was lost. As Trisha Gay Kelly reports, it's a reminder to motorists to drive with care.
Speeding is the #1 cause of death on our roads, and though the numbers suggest that road fatalities have decreased when compared to last year, authorities remain concerned about the number of reports they receive. On Wednesday, a multi-vehicular crash left scraps of vehicles abandoned along the Sandy Bay Main Road in Clarendon. Residents say sometime after 9 p.m., 2 trucks and a motor car collided. Though all 3 vehicles were badly damaged and passengers thereafter rushed to the hospital, no fatalities have been reported, a rare occurrence for which Vice Chairman at the National Road Safety Council NRSC Dr. Lucien Jones is grateful. However, he says there are still too many incidents.
This could have been a different story. We need to really get people to understand, especially driving on the highways, where the road is smooth. We just have to slow down, because you can be speeding at 1 minute and dead the next minute. So far, for this month, we have had 20 crashes, which have resulted in fatalities.
Around this time last year, 25 collisions were reported and 25 deaths. This August, there have been 17 collisions with 20 deaths. That's a 32% drop in the number of collisions and a corresponding 20% decline in fatalities.
Less than last year, we are trending down 12%. And for the last 3 or 4 days, we have had a report from the police that no fatality occurred last night. So far for this year, 243 people have died. We don't need for any more precious lives to be lost.
But this decrease is not an invitation for more road trouble. Dr. Jones is urging motorists to enforce basic road practices.
Just a reminder to people to just slow down. Things can happen in a couple of seconds. There's no need for the speeding. Just slow down on the roads. For God's sake, just slow down. Wear your seatbelt. Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke ganja and drive. Wear your helmet and just be very careful.
Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
In response to what it deems an ongoing teacher migration crisis, the opposition has proposed several measures to incentivize educators to stay in the local classrooms. The initiatives being put forward, according to the Shadow Minister on Education, will not only address the challenges but retain top talent amid concerns over the latest CSEC math results. Here's more from Ramon Gordon.
The opposition has been critical of the government over the past several months, condemning what it sees as multiple failures across various industries. Education has taken center stage, with CVM TV News among the first to report on the ongoing teacher migration crisis, which threatens an already under-resourced sector. On Wednesday, the opposition offered a raft of proposals it believes may help remedy the dilemma.
One of them is to make housing more likely and more affordable for our teachers. It is imperative that the government immediately consult with the NHT to ascertain the probability of offering a higher threshold to teachers, maybe double the threshold to teachers, and an interest rate of no more than 3%.
At the same time, transport and loan forgiveness are also on the opposition's ticket.
Graduating concession program suggests that the longer you stay, it is a higher your concession rate for your motor vehicle, creating a greater possibility and probability to not only own a vehicle, but to own a vehicle of high quality and going forward. We also propose that the government immediately speaks with the Student Loan Bureau for a program of loan forgiveness for each year that the teacher remains in the classroom.
This latest charge comes as the government reports a decline in teacher resignation compared to the same period last year. It also comes as Jamaica looks abroad for teachers to fill local vacancies.
We're also suggesting to this government that whatever the sweeteners that are being offered to persons that may be interested to come to Jamaica, those sweeteners must be added to this package for those persons who are willing to stay in Jamaica.
The opposition's Damian Crawford has been critical of the education minister, accusing her of being ill-informed about the current teacher exodus. While resignation numbers this year trend lower than the last, the alarm bell still rings for something else.
Trinidad has a 45% outcome of persons receiving 5 subjects, including math and English. Jamaica had an 18%. Governments have tried to blame the teachers for this outcome without looking at the simple fact that our current contribution per student at the secondary level has not changed for almost 6 years.
I know we need more math teachers in the system. I know we have programs in place to enable us to be graduating math teachers, but they won't be ready for this school year.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Chartered accountant and financial analyst Dennis Chung has dismissed suggestions that Prime Minister Andrew Holness could temporarily assume the role as the finance minister heads to the IMF. He shares his top picks from within the Parliament and the Senate. More from Nika Lewis.
Businessman and chartered accountant Dennis Chung says transitioning from Dr. Nigel Clark to a new finance minister in coming weeks could be seamless with someone who instills confidence and retains the fiscal responsibility as Dr. Clark did. So who does he first think could fill such a void from the list of likely names in the Parliament?
If you could hazard a guess for that, who would you say would perhaps make it easier?
Coming out of the elected persons in the House, my choice was the Favour Williams. I mean, she was a Minister of Finance. She has extensive finance experience. And I know Favour for a long time before she went into politics. And I think that she's the type of person you want. They're level-headed, someone who thinks about decisions before she makes them, and someone who's well-respected.
Chung hasn't forgotten the possible options from the Senate, though it would require some sort of political gymnastics to get them in that role, namely a by-election.
You can't limit yourself there. I mean, if you look in the Senate, for example, there are people like Albin Hill, who remember that he was headed the National Commercial Bank, made it the largest bank in Jamaica. Well-respected person, so I have a lot of time for him, his potential. And of course, you have people outside of the House of Parliament that you can look at. Going for someone from the Senate or outside the House, there's some gymnastics that have to be played. For example, when Omar Davis was being made Minister of Finance, they had to do something to get him a seat. That is what you'd have to do.
And with some hinting the Prime Minister could likely put his hat in the ring, even for a short while, he thinks not.
Do you at any point see the Prime Minister himself taking on this portfolio, even for the short term?
No.
Dr. Nigel Clark leaves behind a turnaround story that began with the opposition's Dr. Peter Phillips and fiscal measures implemented from years prior to his 2018 installment. Chung is assured taking up the mantle after Dr. Clark will not likely leave too much to be worried about. Nika Lewis, CVM News.
Stay tuned. More to come from CVM News at 7 after the break.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Papa Jesus, insurance gone up again? Or go faster? It gas our insurance.
Driver, let's go. Do you really want to stick with the same old insurer? For the first time in Jamaica, taxis, minibuses, coasters, whatever you drive, MIBinsure.com will find you an insurer who will slash your premium by up to 60%. They all claim to save you money, but only MIB Insure actually can. Switch to MIBinsure.com today and save serious money.
Yeah man, make some noise because Burger King Double Deal Pick 2 is back. $16.50 you get 2 whole Burger King combo. It's a win-win. Pick 2 combos. Whopper Junior Cheese with bacon, American chicken sandwich or big fish sandwich combo for only $16.50. Spend 1 money, win 2 times. Food for me, I'm a party, or just for me. Cause me hungry right now. Myself and I go hungry later. You see it? 1 money, 2 food. Listen, 1 money, 2 food. Win-win. Burger King Double Deal Pick 2.
The Bureau of Standards Jamaica is your conformance testing partner with over 54 years of serving Jamaican businesses. Our world-class lab testing services ensure the safety of your food and commodities that you take to market. We are positioned as a business enabler, driving business development, competitiveness, trade, and ensuring consumer safety. We have 5 times the capacity to test over other local labs, plus 10 labs with accredited tests and calibration. We set the standard that promotes safety to consumers in a number of industries, including food processing, agriculture, and construction, having tested over 57,000 products on average annually and growing.
Hi, my name is Valton Gooden and I'm the Executive Director of the Bureau of Standards. Let us take your products from lab to market.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of it. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
CVM News at 7 Thursday, brought to you by
MIBinsure.com today and save serious money.
Thanks for staying with us. Mere days before the reopening of schools, and a St. Thomas principal is adamant the needs of schools are not being met with urgency by the Education Ministry. Despite repair efforts, he says his school is far from ready. Let's get more from Adrian Williams.
With the new school year set to start Monday for a number of learning institutions, the Yallas High School in St. Thomas has been undergoing major renovations, especially on its Block C that was affected by last October's massive quake. Principal Mark Malava is still not satisfied with the final preparations leading up to the reopening.
The ministry is being very cursory, very, what I would say, dismissive of the cries of principals on the ground with respect to teacher shortage and teacher migration. As we look to the start of the new school year, we are having challenges, particularly in respect to teachers. We are short of about 6 teachers, particularly in the STEM areas. We are also short of a physical education teacher, and we are looking to also recruit a guidance counselor.
Malava highlights that the school's administration is set to have a strategic meeting as it advertises teacher vacancies. But adding to the worries, the institution has been operating within a constant state of financial deficit.
And it has been a challenge that I know that the Ministry of Education is aware of. And quite frankly, the Ministry of Education needs to treat with it as a matter of urgency. It is something that has been highlighted in the Orlando Patterson report. And I'm actually surprised that the ministry is yet to really treat with it or give it the priority that it deserves.
The Orlando Patterson report cites several recommendations for educational reform in Jamaica, of which financial equity among all schools for their development was one main point. With the last increase for schools being in 2016, the principal says the school has been withstanding the effects of inflation for far too long. Though these matters of concern plague the institution, the resilience to carry on remains at the fore.
So what we continue to press on, we have been more than resilient in treating with the issues, notwithstanding our challenges. We have been doing well, particularly in CSEC and external exams. Just coming out of a meeting, doing an assessment of the exams results, and we have been doing pretty well. We are on upward trajectory, but we need resources.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Meanwhile, more stakeholders are making their contributions to students island-wide. In St. Anne, one member of parliament is continuing her annual prize giving for students who continue to perform exceptionally. Northwest St. Anne MP Crystal Lee is encouraging students to work towards their goals.
We have to remember, we are leadership of this nation and this constituency who believes in education. We believe that, of course, education is the vehicle that will give children the opportunity to make something well of themselves and their families, to build the human capital of the nation, of your communities. Approximately $14 million has been spent through the government and sponsorship between myself and the 4 councillors, providing book vouchers, over 2,000 backpacks, hardcover books, and other school supplies, including these tertiary grants for the students. You are going on a journey that not many persons had the opportunity. And so when you go make something of yourself, we expect that you come back into your communities and you will give back to your communities.
The business segment is up right after this break. Stay with us.
Everybody out, fried chicken with a pre-bucket for the crew. Share a bucket together, everybody go live. Spicy original when we online. Bucket together to the new dance craze. Taste explosion bursting with flames. When we a bucket together, it put you in a good mood. Every moment you share is finger licking good. Bucket together, come make we bucket together. Hey, bucket together, bucket together.
Hey my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. At least if you test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Real long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Real long life, our story. Real long life with a youth coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for calling for paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
Welcome back. Time now for our business report with Joel Crossgill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today. The untold cost of corruption on Jamaica's ambitions of development were today explored during the Jamaica Customs Agency, JCA's annual anti-corruption panel discussion and luncheon at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. This year's theme, Ethical Leadership, the impact on cross-border trade, supply chain, and trade facilitation. The forum's focus on the crucial role of integrity within the customs and trade environment, as well as society at large, was skillfully explored by keynote speaker Milton Samuda, managing partner at Samuda and Johnson Attorneys at Law. But first, some context. Transparency International's 2023 Corruption Perception Index gave Jamaica a score of 44 out of 100 and ranked the island at 69 of 180 nations. It's a grade that the Customs Customs Agency CEO and Commissioner Velma Ricketts-Walker is committed to assist in improving, in recognition that her organization is at the vanguard of that ambition.
In recent years, we have been more proactive in not just participating, but importantly, leading the discourse on corruption. In 2023, the Jamaica Customs Agency received ISO 9001-2015 certification in quality management system. This is not a process in the agency. It is not a unit in the agency. It is the entire Jamaica Customs Agency across 54 business units.
Achieving ISO 9001-2015 certification means that an organization meets statutory and regulatory requirements. But for PSOJ President Mitri Siaga, additional scrutiny must be placed on how culture and leadership impacts the efficiency of processes and the general ease of doing business in the country.
We have allowed a lot of the problems that we're having to become systemic. Our leadership has allowed the systems to be so bureaucratic that it creates the need for people to circumvent the system. That is the type of leadership we need, not only from a political level to change the legislations, but from within the agencies to remove the roadblocks that exist, that are there so that people have to go around the system to get what needs to get done.
I would save a lot of money from what I consider in certain areas over-regulation and put that money into enforcement. You make it easy for people to do things, not difficult. You seem to think that 90% of us are corrupt, and therefore the rules are designed to make you jump through 10 hoops so you catch the 90% who you think are corrupt. What you really should do is make it so easy for business to be done and resource your enforcement, detection and enforcement, so that when there's an infraction, you chop off the neck and people know you're serious.
Mr. Samuda suggests, however, that while Jamaica has seemingly become accustomed to cultural practices that attempt to circumvent the system, whether motivated by criminal intent or frustration, there are external factors that are also critical to comprehend.
In this increasingly connected and ever-shrinking globe, where the space between human beings is now a whisper, unethical practices among nations concerning the rules of trade, not just individuals and organizations, nations act unethically every day. Failure to ensure that workers are treated fairly along the supply chain. Failure to ensure that human rights are respected at source and across the value chain. Failure to enforce environmental standards in production and supply equally. Failure to hold suppliers accountable for their actions. Failure to ethically supervise trade treaties and borders. All of that feeds into national and international corruption. Do not make the mistake of viewing these things in silos.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
We go to another break with our market summary.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We a bucket together when everybody out. Fried chicken we a pre-bucket for the crew. Share a bucket together, everybody go live. Spicy original when we online. Bucket together to the new dance craze. Taste explosion bursting with flame. When we a bucket together, it put you in a good mood. Every moment we share is finger licking good. Bucket together, come make we bucket together. Bucket together, bucket together.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused. I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of it. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
We a bucket together, it puts you in a good mood. Every moment we share is finger licking good.
The time by KFC is
7:30.
And we welcome you back with a look at our social media pages.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Minister Darrell Vaz cracks the whip on the JUTC with a surprising move. Minister Vaz made his first unannounced visit to the transport centers and bus parks, vowing to tackle inefficiency and ensure reliable public transportation for all. Here are some of your comments. At Pat Nelson07 writes, "Good idea. The dispatchers are horrible. Please rotate them, spread them out, and lessen familiarity." At Owens Marsh shares, "Thanks again, Minister. Happy for a breath of fresh air in the sector. I'm happy JUTC will introduce payment systems the public can use their Visa card to pay. Love the forward thinking." At Mikey says, "Yes, Minister, stay upon them case like Picheri until they get the idea of providing good service for the citizens of Jamaica." At Immortal77733 comments, "Minister, the system needs way more buses to efficiently serve the KMTR and the wider country." At Winter876 posts, "Can an app be created so we know the time when the buses are expected? Because nobody has time to be waiting 2 hours for a 77. At Irish and the Chin posts, "We need dedicated school buses. September coming and the kids will be back choosing the shuttle buses." And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and the CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Ronaldo Adams.
And we go overseas for regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. The Barbados Light and Power Company estimates that it is 20 times more expensive to invest in an underground electricity network than to have one above ground. That's according to the company's Director of Operations, Johan Greaves. His comments come as the hurricane season causes more attention to be focused on the resilience of Barbados's electricity supply. The details from CBC News, Barbados.
The Barbados Light and Power Company says with the island at risk from more weather events, resilience is top of mind for the country's sole electricity provider. Director of Operations Johan Graves says more than half of its transmission infrastructure is already on the ground.
Barbados Light and Power has about 60% of its transmission infrastructure that is actually on the ground. And we have a small proportion of our distribution feeders that are actually on the ground. So there are some areas, so like let's say for town, for example, Swan Street, those areas are completely on the ground. St. Lawrence Gap is completely on the ground. We are continuously looking to see how we can improve the resilience of our network. So that involves putting some of the infrastructure on the ground. Even if we do not put the lines on the ground, we have been making provision for putting some of the lines in the future on the ground.
However, he says it's an expensive undertaking.
Going on the ground is at a much higher cost. It's about estimates are like 20 times the cost of going overhead.
But the financial burden for Barbados Light and Power is not the only consideration.
In a significant step towards enhancing maritime security, the Belize